And
The also said, well, we're going
is
to
just one of
I was rattled. But then at the other hand, you know, I had been feeling, you know, really not myself for a long time. And, you know, and I was feeling some symptoms. So in a sense,
decision that we would just not deal with this right now, go back upstairs and finish the student evening and then deal with it, at which point I think we both kind of collapsed.
the phone, and he was crying, and he told me what they had said, and I started screaming, which was not a good response since the boys were in the house, but it was just this kind of almost just very what's the word, primitive response.
I was the most anxious person in the world when I was diagnosed. Anxious and laughing. That's pretty much what I did. And then I just started laughing because it was so uncomfortable. I was scared, you know, I didn't know.
Well, there's certain experiences in life that you never forget, and hearing the diagnosis of cancer for your child is one of those. And the response is just one of emotional confusion, because there's so many different emotions that you're feeling at that time. You're feeling sad, you're feeling bad, you're feeling like this isn't fair, you're feeling a sense of urgency, like, okay, what do we do now? And at the same time as trying to...
My initial reaction was to just be strong and push through it and just do what needed to be done. And I knew that if I went to some place where I was going to get good care and the best of treatment, that I had a good chance for a positive outcome. And so I probably didn't really...
Solid understanding. Christy, in the last couple of days, we've been talking about things and I'm like, what? And you know, and so I do remember that when it's notified and kids are coming home from college and which we didn't want them losing their A's and B's and C's right in the middle, but they're like, someone said, you know, diet, the possibility that I would die, I'm like, you're out of lunch. I'm not going to die. And
decided to take the biopsy of the breast. They also said, well, we're going to sample some of your lymph nodes as well. Well, that's when I really became afraid. And I started crying right there in that room. And I said, this is really, really serious. And so
I think that at first some part of me just refused to really believe it. And another part of me, I think, said, well, in any case, they do cure a certain number of people. So at first, I wasn't aware, you know, of how really serious it was. It took them a while.
The thing I remember most specifically about the second time was thinking, okay, I'm going to write my way through this.
And I got a call from my physician who eventually became my surgeon when we were having a get-together with students, as a matter of fact, at 6 o'clock in the evening. Went downstairs to take the call, and I was told there was a malignancy, although it was caught early.
the house. Dear had not said anything. I started shocked now with this hysterical. But I was kind of in a daze, and I didn't know who I should tell initially.
Yeah, and a lot of things. After the initial shock, there's the disbelief, really. And I don't think it sets in until, at least for me, it didn't until I started losing my hair.
Parts of it were bigger than we expected to be, and other parts of it weren't as big as we were fearing. And so at that point in time, it's just this big question mark. So what does this really mean? What it really means...
Didn't have a chance to not function. In retrospect, maybe that's a good thing, but I think on the other hand, it also prolongs the process, because I'm sure what I really wanted to do was just go to bed and not get up for
long time.
No, it's pretty much denial.
Denial, that's the word.
Can't be true.
Yeah.
Denial.
You guys are all out of lunch.
Way overreacting.
Huh?
Like we're all overreacting.
Yeah.
So it went from, being shocked and scared to almost adjusting to having her, having cancer, and we still did things together and so on. Her energy was reduced, but she had a lot of friends that actually developed some very fine friendships in the last few years.
The thing that was there from the start was the sense of what do we do now? Because in some ways that's a way of coping, which is to take action in some way, and beginning to realize that there's some things that you can do and that are under your control and some things that are not.
I think I was generally anxious the entire time I was in treatment because there was a lot to be worried about all the time and nothing felt normal, and all my relationships had changed and everything was different. So I think I was anxious the entire time. I just think that the anxiety became my new normal.
And I got to tell you, I was just
right. That's what I was just going to say.
University of Michigan, and the way that the staff treated me.
I don't think I did use any strategies to cope. It was an incredibly busy time during Ken's treatment because he couldn't eat or drink.
Because coping strategies are kind of unique to the individual. Is what I think we did discover that. And so while you're kind of dealing with your own, you remember, my wife has cancer too.
To do daily walks, just to get out and realize, yes, I am still alive, and I can walk, and I can do this, and even though I may not be feeling as good as I normally do, that it was still, I was doing things on my part to help build the strength of my body so that my body could deal with everything that was being thrown at it in terms of treatment.
I decided that I wanted to survive, and I said, you know what? And there are times that I would talk to myself even when I didn't really know who I was or if I was going to make it the next day, and I'd say, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. I'm not going to let you get the best of me.
One strategy, for example, was I had to prioritize what was important and what wasn't important. And it actually took me a little while to kind of figure that out, which seems silly, but my daughter and her well-being was the most important thing.
I tend to be a put one foot in front of the other kind of person anyway, because of just having had a lot of children, and things happen when you have children, and catastrophes and things. So I just started putting one foot in front of the other, and thought, well, let's do the next thing and find out what the next thing is. But it was
talking about it helped a lot. Talking to other patients about it, because you started to realize that you were anxious, but that was normal and that was okay, and that you needed to be anxious. You needed to deal with how you were feeling and talk about it and kind of embrace it, I guess.
That there's something else going on in my life besides just this that's going on right now. That I do write a journal, I am a writer, and I'm going to remember this and save it and pass it on. And
we went a few times to, there's a lymphoma support group, and we went, and I met some really interesting people, but there again, I was really busy with work. I really didn't have time for it, and it went back to, I don't want it to dominate my life.
I guess I never did that before, but I like being managed. I thought, I'm staying in this system, as long as they keep managing me, I'm here.
Society.
And it does make a difference when you're going through something that you really do.
I mean, I would wish that everybody of the many people who find themselves in a similar situation, that they also had as supportive a situation as I did both inside and outside the home. And I would, you know, but no, there's no particular thing that I would suggest other than that we have a universal need for love.
I did. What you have to do is to continue to live your life to the best that you can. You don't stop. There were times that when I went around people or places, well, everybody didn't know that I had cancer, that I was going through treatment. Not everybody, and there are times that you may not feel that you're not all there, but you continue to try and socialize anyway. Don't shut yourself off.
There's no one right way, and I think when you asked earlier about did I go looking for information, and as I read about other women's reactions, I kept wondering if I was doing it right. I mean, and there isn't a right way, and there isn't a fast track to being healthy mentally or physically. I mean, you've got to take your time to be kind to yourself and patient with the journey.
But also to be able to respond to them in a way that you can continue to take care of your child and the things you need to take care of. So I think that that the ways in which you cope are important. And if you're only having the emotions without the coping, then I think it makes sense to talk to your healthcare team or to get special counseling or to talk it over with other people.
Family is like you deal with yourself first, and then you can deal with your family. And it's like be patient with yourself and take care of yourself and love yourself, because if you don't do that, you can't extend that to your family.
I dealt with it how I needed to deal with it. I had to have some fun with it. I couldn't just... And I think that I don't know. I mean, I can't tell another cancer patient how to deal with cancer, because there's no circumstance for anyone that's the same, because you're going to have a different kind of disease. It's a different treatment. And you just have to deal with it however you want to deal with it, and that's it. And
I would tell people to be gentle with themselves and to cut themselves a lot of slack, because it's an incredibly hard thing to go through, and it takes a long...
It's okay. And I minimalize, how threatening it really is, and how scary it really is, and how important it really is to my life to have this cancer. And, you've made me think about that and deal with that in a really safe place, in a really...
And I regret that I didn't reach out to people more, because I think it would have been easier on myself and on my children had I developed more of a support system at that point of my life.
If you don't have a way to turn when you're off by yourself, you're going to hurt. You are going to hurt. And you're just going to fall away, because you can't have your own strength inside you. So I'd say, go to whoever it is you need to go to, give you strength.
One never knows what tomorrow will bring. You just have to live today. Do the very best you can today.
Because it helped us with our empathy.